measures.
We don't make this threat lightly. We know very well what's at stake, but we have no choice because we have been forced into this corner by an executive and a board that simply does not care.
Trade unions are now planning to intensify their strike, which they warn will have devastating results. The unions have long accused SAA of not being serious about resolving the impasse. Their negotiations deadlocked, with the national carrier sticking to its 5.9% wage increase offer, which unions have rebuffed.
In response to this deliberate provocation by the SAA board and its executive management, NUMSA is in the process of consulting workers for a secondary strike in aviation. We have begun consultations on this process in various entities. Allow this corrupt board and senior executive management to destroy the airline through corrupt contracts.
SAA reinstated flights to 7 international destinations as the crippling wage strike entered its third day. However, its domestic flights remain grounded. Thousands of workers affiliated to NUMSA and the South African Cabin Crew Association down tools on Friday. For News from Africa on Channel 405, I am Donda Anita Karani.
All right. Welcome back to your view. Of course, SAA in the news, of course, for all the wrong reasons over the last couple of days, with the airline being grounded. And of course, we celebrate that at least some flights were able to take off. It's important that those who protest and those who go out in the street to demand a better wage respect those who may not want to do so. There was a big spat between the unions and SAA management, who, after there were allegations that the airline is not safe, people who are not safe are being used. There's a phrase about spiting your nose and something. Just look it up in that. But remember, even the strike is over, you must still attract customers to keep the thing afloat, and to keep the thing working. So if you do things that are going to destroy it because you are striking, it doesn't help. But at the same time, the question is, where is Jam Nandas? Where's Pravin Gordhan? He's not said a pip of a word since the strike, and he's a minister responsible. Not said a word. Understand that he has held an urgent meeting last night where he appointed the current chairperson of the board to be what is called an executive chairperson. I don't think we have learned anything from the state capture saga, where you concentrate power into the hands of one or two individuals and make everybody else to be redundant. SAA's EXCO has about at least 10, if not up to 14 people, executives who should know what they are doing. After all, the aircraft take off and land every day. Over 300 or more aircraft take off and land every day under that executive. But of course, the Minister of Public Enterprise, I'm sure, knows better. Will of course be absolutely lucky if we got to talk to him, for him to explain to us what is it that he would take a chairperson of the board who's been accused by the unions of being ineffective and corrupt, and she may not be, by the way. But in the midst of those allegations, you just take that person and rub it into the nose of the unions and just say, oh, well, let her actually just render Zukiswa, right, a black woman there who's been made acting CEO, to actually be useless. But, we're not in government, and I'm sure some of these guys know better. But it's actually bad for the airline. It's bad for any corporation to mix up the roles of chairman and CEO, especially in the midst of a crisis. Because now that means decisions are going to grind to a halt. Because the board that's supposed to have governed so far, that's supposed to have given direction up to so far, now wants to be involved in operations. Now want to meddle officially in tenders, in procurement processes, and in all kinds of decisions that are actually going to make this airline either swim or sink. It's bad. But I may be wrong because I'm not a pilot. I might be wrong because I'm not an expert in aviation. Maybe you are out there and an expert in aviation, you can tell me whether you think this is going the right route. I was startled to learn that there are board members who in fact were very unhappy that the management made a plan to make sure that passengers who have booked international flights are actually not stranded. I'm sure they'll come and deny it, but unfortunately, people who are in the boards and executives of these structures don't live in the moon. They live amongst us and they tell us these things. And that brings a question that says, what is the real agenda of government? Is the Minister of Finance prophecy that SAA should be shut down maybe coming to pass? And the fact that there has not been any intervention of government despite the grounding of a national carrier for 4 days, maybe a sign that the government has decided somewhere to shut the place down or to make it lose so much value that there are friends in business who will come and take it in the midst of privatization, who will pick it up for a song. I'm not being negative, just asking the questions. It may nauseate you like it nauseated the leader of the DA in the Western Cape when I asked some of these difficult questions. But be nauseated all you want. The public deserves better. And hopefully the Minister of Public Enterprise will take us seriously enough to come to public and tell us what are his real intentions. Are his intentions to puppet master this spineless board and make it ground the airline for good so that it can be sold for a 1 rand? Or is there a genuine effort to listen to the unions who have been given the short end of the stick in favor of pilots who are prima donnas of the airline? It's actually shocking that the airline decided in the midst of such economic hardships to take one class of employees, favor them with a 5.9 increase, and then look at another class as people who don't matter. After all, there are cabin crews who earn 10,000 and related small amounts, as opposed to the 135 million rand they spent on pilots. It's actually shameful stuff. Are you saying that in all of that place, there's no one person who said, hang on, wait a minute, why are you only increasing for the pilots? Why not for the rest? Why not for the underpaid? I mean, I don't understand that. I don't understand that. And these people are supposed to be representing the people. They're supposed to be voice of the public. But no. Pilots must, how many pilots strike? The place will come to a standstill. They are the prima donnas of the place, flying around the world and so on. Anyway, let's listen to what the chief pilot there, Pilot Mama Shela, had to say about the allegations made by the unions that the airline is not safe.
That one of our greatest value proposition as South African Airways is our safety. We might not have the A380s, we might not have had the Concords of this world, but the one thing we've always had is a loyal traveling public that loves the service, hospitality, Ubuntu that our cabin crew provide on our aeroplanes, and they value the safety provided on our aircraft by our pilots. Our cabin attendants are not there as waitresses. They are there as safety officers. They are qualified people and experienced in first aid and have come to the rescue of so many people's lives on board. Their skills are amazing. And I'm very proud to say to you that on many an occasion where we've had serious medical instances occurring on our flights, that we have had doctors who come out and say that was the best equipped first aid or doctor's bag that they have seen. And if it was not for that equipment and not for the experience of our people, that person would have died. So I take serious offense to somebody challenging that our safety is compromised. And I would like them to be specific. And I'd like to once again reassure you that that commitment is unwavering.
I got a lot of time for Captain Mama Shela, a lot of time for him, big respect for him. But his sentiment is incomplete, because he's supposed to say, therefore, he should take more exception at management treating cabin crew like cows. That's what he should say. He should say that precisely because these cabin crew are so excellent, they are underpaid. They are paid slave wages. They are made to work, extraordinary hours, and therefore endangering their very existence as safety officers. That's what the pilot should be saying. Because we're in the midst of a crisis that it was not self-generated. A crisis that has been as a result of poor management year after year after year. I mean, the guys have not even given us financial statements over the last 2 years. So you're talking about a place that's highly mismanaged. As we speak now, the former chairperson, Dudu Mlieni, is in court fighting to keep her directorship, fighting not to be declared an ill-disciplined director, or a delinquent director. I think that's the correct term. It's bad what is happening at the airline, and government is folding its arms looking on. I'm sure they're doing something, but they're just not telling us what it is. Looking for solutions for the SAA with 9 turnaround strategies that have failed. It's truly looking for a needle in a haystack. It's like trying to look for an African CEO to run ESCO. Matata, ba re setlhare sa lekwa sa Mosotho ke lekgowa. Ai wa re bontsha Ramaphosa wa itse. Wa re bontsha Ramaphosa re ai makgowa ke ona fela a tlo re thusa. O tlo re batlela Messiah wa ESCO. Mara anyway, I don't have to complain. Non-racialism also comes with its own challenges. But it icks me when we send a message in this country that putting African leadership in charge of most important aspects of our society is a tick box exercise. That's exactly what the DA say. John Steenhuisen was saying it, telling me bluntly last night. We thought that a black leader will help us, but it proved not to be the case. It failed. And it looks like that's a sentiment shared in these days by our leaders. I never thought that one day we will have to question why ANC made so much noise about African leadership when it was struggling. But I know they're in power now. But to faith. But to faith. I know anything goes now. It's bad. And they don't take BEE seriously. But state-owned enterprises, some of the state-owned enterprises have pathetic BEE scores. And they are owned by the state. When people don't take that transformation seriously, do not be surprised. Anyway, give me a call. Tell me, maybe I'm crazy, but maybe you have better solutions. Should SAA be shut down? Should it be sold for a song? Or maybe you know better. Maybe there's no conspiracy. But the silence of government in terms of intervening to make sure this disaster can pass is puzzling, as it is irresponsible in my view. Give us a ring now, then open line here on Newsroom Africa. Let's take a break now.